guys and girls, what's up? It's been a little bit, and I got a video on, it's gonna be a short one, but a very important one. It's tools. Especially if, see, as like a generator technician, you're not just doing electrical and you're not just doing engines, you're doing both. And there's specific specialty testing type stuff that you've got to be able to do. And reason I'm making this video is because I had to use a special tool that I haven't used in like a year and a half. And it saved me from not being able to fix the unit. For example, I had to troubleshoot some connectors that would plug into a terminal block, and they weren't big connectors. You couldn't just use your regular meter leads to test it, because you had to have your stuff plugged in there, and then you had to go around to the engine to start it. And when you're troubleshooting by yourself, you know, if I would have tried to use my regular test lead, it would have fallen out when the engine started cranking. So just a disclaimer, I do not ever claim that I'm the best. I'm not the best. There are thousands of people better than me, and I'm always learning. But there's a big gap between someone that's always learning and trying to learn and is interested, and someone that just goes to work Monday through Friday, that doesn't invest in tools. If you're a technician that does not buy tools for the first 2 years of starting investing in your career, you are not going to be anything. Sorry if I'm harsh. One moment. All right, guys, so I'm really not trying to be harsh. I'm just being honest. If you are going to be, if you're new in the generator field, if you want to be a generator technician, you got to do one of two things. Learn some mechanics at an auto shop and try and take an apprenticeship. Like, you know, to be this, you got to put in some work. It's not as easy as like going to being a mechanic and then becoming a generator tech, because you're still missing the 50% of the electrical. You can learn it, and many people do. If you really, really want to get ahead and like go from helping wages from 15 or 17 an hour to making almost 40 within like 5 years, take an apprenticeship class. I recommend doing an electrical. Usually it's stupid cheap, or the company pays for it. And then try and learn the mechanics at work, or vice versa. Or just go to school, do the apprenticeship, and then, hold on. Yeah. Yeah. $10.49. Thank you. Hold on.
There you go.
Thank you.
Do I give you straws?
Yes.
I do? Okay. I'm going to make a milkshake right now.
Thank you. Okay, so That's to get ahead. You can go in and be a helper not knowing shit. You got to find the right company that'll hire you, because and you could very well easily find one, because it's hard to find techs. So as long as you're willing to learn, go and apply, and just, I promise you, I don't care if you have zero experience. You walk in there and you say, hey, I want to talk to the manager. Who can I talk to about hiring? And they're going to ask you, so what experience? And you're going to say, not much, pretty much nothing, but I want to learn, and I'm a hard worker, and I promise you, I'll move up the ranks very quickly. You'll find someplace. It's all about talking and being personable too. You can't, like, if you go in there, oh, are you guys hiring? They're going to be like, yeah, like, what experience? Nothing. They're going to be like, okay, here, write your name down. We'll give it to someone. Like, no, you walk in there and you say, hey, can I please talk to the hiring manager or a manager or someone in charge of the technicians? Is there someone I can talk to about a job opportunity? I just want to ask some questions. You want to make it to where the front desk lady can't answer questions. You want to act like you're going to ask some in-depth shit. Basically, can you hire me, please? No. Back to the tools. This is how, because some of you are going to say, okay, so what special tools do I need? I've got lists, but what you're going to do is, when you're new and you're helping, because you're not going to ever be on your own until you've been trained or you have worked side by side with someone that knows what they're doing, you're going to imitate the person that's training you. And if you really want to be a step ahead, you got to play the game. Find out who the best tech is. Sometimes you can't work with them because they don't work with people. They're doing like the $500,000 jobs that the company is making. And you know what I'm saying? They're not going to train you on programming controllers when you don't even know how to use a meter yet. You try and find the best person that is at that company that is doing what they want you to be learning, and you got to play the game. You got to talk to them. You got to ask them. You got to beg them, like, dude, I need to learn. I want to learn. Can you please, like, would you be willing to at least maybe be like, hey, let Brian work with me? Whatever your name is. You got to play the game. Now, if that doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world. But you're going to copy and imitate the tools that the technician that is in charge uses, has, whenever he's at his van and he's looking through his shit. Ask questions about what tools, what does that do? What's that? Like, literally. And you need to invest in it. Thank you. You have got to invest. I bought a $1,000 Megger and I didn't use it for a year. You know, I bought a Fluke, which I practiced with, but you need to pay attention to what the head techs are using, and you really need to invest in all of it. You really need to try. I've got a 24 volt battery jump pack that was like $400 fucking dollars. So when has that saved my ass? When I'm at a 24 volt system and it's not cranking, I can use that to crank it. Because without that, you're not cranking. And when it's not cranking, you're not troubleshooting at all. You want to prevent yourself from making a return trip as much as possible. And so, like I said, imitate and copy. They're not gonna, you know, it does, if you were to work with someone and then next week buy that same set, they're not gonna fucking be like, oh, you're a loser. Nah, they're gonna be like, hell yeah, bro. That's what I'm talking about. I bought this set because this set is the best. And you're gonna be like, hell yeah, man. Like, what else do you got? What else should I get? Ask what you should get. Ask questions. Like, you need to get to know the boss, your manager, and you need to start doing good. You need to volunteer to work the overtime, the weekends, and put in that work, and they're going to be like, damn, we can depend on you. And once you start hearing that, once you start seeing that they're like, yo, ask Brian, like Brian will come, you know, just hit up Brian. He always answers. That is when it's your clue to start demanding some shit. Not money, unless you've been in there for a year and you're really kicking ass. If you're not helping anymore, yeah, you need a raise. But it's like, hey, I want training, dude. Like, you see how I am. You see I am always willing to help and learn and go the extra step. You guys need to take care of me. Like, come on now. I'm trying to get training. All the other techs have certifications. What's it going to take for me to get my first certification? You need to ask. If you do not ask, you shall not receive. And that is something that I learned later in life. And it is so true. If you do not ask, the chances are slim of you receiving. You will receive. 10% of the time, you will not get anywhere near your chances of getting something you want if you do not let them know that you want it and that you need it and that you better give it to me or I'm really not going to be too happy. Like I said, it's all about playing the game. Once you prove your worth and you know your worth is a lot more than majority of the technicians or helpers, like you're the best helper there is, you can start playing the game. I'm not telling you to go and demand and say, hey, you better do this. You gotta play the game. You decide what that means. Okay? Super important. I'm going to touch base and I'm going to do another video kind of teaching what I know so far and showing how I will look stuff up if I don't on wiring diagrams and manuals. That is seriously, to be a good technician, you need the right tools. That's like 40% of it. You need the training. That's 40% of it. And then, or let's just go 30% tools, 30% training. And then let's restart. Because what I'm trying to say is training is one thing. When someone teaches you how to change oil, someone teaches you how to troubleshoot a low oil sender, how to read resistance, how to check a diode, you know, how to check the microfarads, how to use a megger, how to adjust the frequency, the speed, how to go and program a controller. Fine. Then there's a whole nother beast. And that's when you're on your own. And it's reading manuals, having access to manuals, and wiring diagrams. And let me give you an example. Tonight, I had a 17.5 Generac. The big-ass portable ones. The one that's at, like, for homeowners. And it's got the 999cc engine in there for like the 22K air-cooled ones. And it would crank, but not start. So there's only so much you can do before you need to know how to, before you got to pull out the manual and the wiring diagram. There is only so much you can do. You can, all right, it's cranking, not starting. So we know battery's good. You can check your fuel solenoid. Is it clogged? Okay. Is there a fuse blown? It's cranking. That means starter's good. So we're getting a fuel issue right now. Check your spark. Use your spark plug testers. Once you do that, then you got to pull your meter out if it's not starting up. If you've cleaned the carburetor, you've checked your solenoid, and it's not clogged, what's going on? Now you pull your meter out. Now you're checking voltages. Do I got voltage at the fuel solenoid? No? Okay. Well, where does wire 87 on the fuel solenoid go? I don't know. Everything is wire loomed and zip tied so damn tight, you're not gonna freaking trace it out. It would take too long. So this is where decent technicians are separated from part changers and just people that are not gonna make it in terms of being relied on, being depended on, being considered a tech that can get the job done. So, luckily, I've put in the work and have compiled almost 100 gigabytes of manuals. I've paid money to retired techs for them to send me 50 gigs worth of manuals, 30 gigs worth of manuals. I've had donations of manuals given to me, and I have the largest database that is open to anyone. You need to have that. You got to have a laptop. You have to, especially if you're on your own. If you're at a company, you'll get that once you get to that point. I was using my own laptop because I was trying to learn the programs. I'm like, dude, I want to plug into this shit and see what's up with this stuff. I don't want to wait. They're not giving me a laptop, so I brought my own laptop. And you got to be smart about it, though. Like, you don't just go and start adjusting shit. You can look through and, kind of just read stuff. And then you go online and you look up manuals and you're like, oh, shit, this does that, blah, 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 blah. But reading a wiring diagram is so important. Having a manual is so important. There's troubleshooting flowcharts in a lot of the manuals that say, okay, your gen cranks, it doesn't start. Okay, first thing, check wire 20. Use your meter negative, ground it to the frame, use your meter positive, and probe, wire whatever. Have your meter set on resistance. What resistance do you have? It gives you a chart. Are you in that resistance zone? No. Go to this step. Are you in this resistance zone? Yes. Go to this step. And it breaks it down, and you've got to be able to. And then so you've got that. Then you've got to have a wiring diagram because some don't have the flow charts. And so you got your fuel solenoid. There's no voltage to it. So we got to see where that wire that's on the fuel solenoid that has no voltage, that is supposed to have voltage, where does that terminate on the other end? And so that's where reading a manual comes in, and it's not easy. It's easy once you put in the time and you study and you learn about the symbols and you practice. Then you're not scared to do it. I was so scared to use a manual for some reason. It seemed like it was so much work. I'd go to a site and I would try and troubleshoot it. Couldn't figure it out. Sorry, customer. I'm not charging you, but I can't fix it. Okay. You go ask for help online. They're going to say, what have you done? Did this, this, and this, okay? Do you have the manual? Have you checked the wiring diagram to see where that wire goes so that you can go to that spot and then read the wiring diagram and see, okay, it's hooked up to a diode, flyback diode, a Zener diode. You got to know what those are. Test the diode. Is it allowing voltage through one way? Is it allowing it both ways? Does it allow it at a certain voltage set point? Is there a battery charging rectifier? Check the rectifier terminals. There's so much, you know, BCR, battery charging rectifier. FS, fuel solenoid. What does a fuse symbol look like? What does a fusible link symbol look like? What does a ground to the chassis symbol look like compared to ground to a battery negative look like? What does a motor look like? What does a three-phase motor look like? What does a three-phase 4-wire motor look like on the symbols? So it's as easy as like having your laptop with your hotspot and you not knowing what a symbol is and you explain it on Google. I've got a symbol with 2 arrows, and you go through and you'll see, and someone will post what it is. There will be a link that explains symbols, and that symbol will be there, and that's all it takes. You have to use resources. You have to be willing to use it. And if you don't have the resources, then you can't use them, obviously. So that's this video. I'm going to be making one going over a wiring diagram and try and do it completely with you guys. Like I said, I don't know everything, but I try and help. And if what I do know helps someone, cool. And like I said, what I don't know, I'll show you how I find out and learn what it is to continue moving forward, okay? I hope y'all had a good New Year's. Let's make 2024 a good year with lots of growth and achievements. Let's not get in trouble. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace. DC. This is going on the left contactor. This is a 2-wire. One's going to the limit switch. The other is going to the middle contactor neutral signal. Then we've got AC and AC. And those are both going to the switch. Alright, we've got DC left side of the board labeled 1. We've got wire 1, DC other side. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going to middle contactor neutral right side signal. Second spliced wire is going to be 4 going to limit switch. Then we've got number 2 AC, which is going to number 2 down here, going to the switch. Then number AC 3 going to the switch.